Hello and welcome to Nighthawk F1 RST Season 6 Red Sprint Race at Monza. Time flies, it's Season 6 already, and we're here for the first round at the Temple of Speed, Monza, home of drama, chaos, and a little bit of caramelage into the first chicane. Now, without further ado, let's go see the first sprint grid of the season.
Perfect, thank you very much, Stuart. So, for P1 we have Iceman in the Lexus with Drew Nisbet in his 296. In row 2, P3, we have Sidley himself in his Lexus, accompanied by T50 Phil, one of our 992 drivers. And then, just behind, in row 3, we have Ziggy in the 992, and Big Crazy Bertie in P6.
In P7, we've got Nigel Mansdale in the new car, number 55, Porsche 992, alongside Sophie in the 714. In row 5 is Mercedes, finally in a Mercedes, alongside Pedro in the number 77 Mazda RX Vision. In row 6 we have Midnight in the 666 McLaren, that trademark red and black, alongside Fada in a new car, the number 23 Toyota Supra. And in row 7 it's Season 4 champion Dark Lord GT in the number 6 Subaru, alongside Rookie Roses in the number 347 Ferrari. That's another interesting grid. We saw an interesting grid in the blue lobby, and we've got another one here in the red lobby. Where do you think everything's going to shake out?
Well, like you said, it was an interesting grid in the blue, and just as much in the red here. There's a lot of interesting characters that we've got, from, say, even Ziggy and Bertie, who are together in the red lobby, which they're going to be enjoying. And you've got a couple of new starters, such as, like Roses. We don't know where he's going to factor into this race, but like you pointed out, Dark Lord in the Subaru is an interesting car for this season. It's going to be a bit of an anomaly, I feel, particularly around here at Monza. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, I feel.
Yeah, that Subaru is going to be one to watch. I'm also going to be looking at Pedro and the Mazda. I think that car is going to be a dark horse around here. But without further ado, let's get to the racing.
Welcome everybody to the first round here at Monza, Season 6 of Nighthawk Racing. We've got new drivers, new cars. We're about to get underway here for our rolling start, and it's lights out and away we go. The drivers will now head down into turn 1. No standing start luckily, so we shouldn't have too much shenanigans going into turn 1. You see all the cars filing down the straight there now. Iceman leads the field heading into turn 1, followed by Sicily and some of the other drivers behind. There's a bit of chaos going on behind as we see there's a WRX of Dark Lord hitting a few cars there, and Mercedes is spun around off turn 1. Dark Lord now waiting. I jinxed it, didn't I? I said there'd be no chaos, and there was chaos, but you can see now there's been a bit of a jumble up in the field because of that chaos off turn 1. Nigel there in 6th defending from Bertie and Sophie behind as they head now into turn 4 and 5, the second variante. And you see there Sophie having to cut the chicane a small bit. Ziggy goes for a spin around. I shouldn't have said anything, just chaos everywhere. I guess it's to be expected. Monza is quite a fast track, lots of hard braking zones here. Drivers will be going from around 250 to maybe 100 within a couple of meters. It's crazy stuff. As now we're just looking throughout the field, you can see Roses sizing up a move there on Pedro, heading down this nice straight. Now the drivers will have a chance to catch up with each other, try to go side by side. Roses going to go around the outside here now of Pedro as they head into Ascari. We'll see, can the 458 overtake the Mazda? It doesn't look like it. The Mazda will outpower the Ferrari in a straight line there. Sarah, that was a bit of chaotic turn 1 and further first lap. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it definitely was. I don't think Mercedes would have seen Dark Lord, or the Twixmover as I like to call it, approaching that turn 1, so he came in like a missile. But luckily I think Dark Lord knew that he did something wrong. He waited for Mercedes, and it's good to see obviously those two back fighting again. But there's currently a little bit of a freeway battle for P6 between Sophie, Bertie and Fodder. And Fodder on that first lap making quite a few positions up.
We're just watching some of the cars now. They're heading down this lovely long straight. You can see behind there's a little battle going on, I believe, between Bertie and Sophie. You can see they're heading down to turn one. Fodda dives down the inside on the McLaren 650S, and he gets the move done before the end of the turn. Bertie's going to try to get the acceleration off the corner, but it won't happen on that inside line. If you got that outside line for the first chicane, it is very easy to get past on the acceleration. And now Philip at the front here is going to try and move on the 458, heading down into the second chicane. You can see here it's going to outpower that lovely machine, and it's the Porsche up into third place.
Good to see the two Lexus cars running up front at the moment with Sicily and Iceman. Obviously the two know each other quite well, so they're probably egging each other on at the moment. But Phil in P3 in the new Porsche 911 GT3R. Good to see that car, you know, quite high up the grid. A lot of people have been hyping up this car, so let's see what it can do around Monza.
Realizing there, I said 458 when there was an overtake happening there, so apologies about that. I'm just not used to us having the 296 on the grid. It's lovely to see it in the game. I am personally going to be driving it for the rest of the season as Midnight's after spinning around here off of Ascari in the 650S. That's very unfortunate for Midnight there. He's after having a slight spin as up further ahead. I believe we've got a bit of a battle happening for 6th position. Also, you can see there, it looks like Nigel having to pull back into line now. Bertie's going to try up the inside. There's going to be very little room on the outside. In fact, Nigel kicking up a bit of dust as he dips a wheel off in the Parabolica, but keeps it on track, as you can see now. As we're looking back down to the back right now, I'm just having a look at Dark Lord, who's trying to launch a move on Mercedes. The two who had the contact of the first lap. Let's see if they play nice here this time. It's going to be down into this first chicane. We'll have a look. It looks like Dark Lord is going to give a lot of room there, but Mercedes is going to go wide actually and head over the chicane. He's going to keep the position, but he might get a penalty for that. There's a bit of chaos at the front now. Phil having a few issues, and there was 4 wide heading into turn 3 for a second, but looks like they've sorted it out amongst themselves. We've got 2 296s there, or 3, is it 3? Oh no, 2 296s, yeah, on the Mazda of Pedro, and Pedro falling down the order now as he's down into 8th position after being overtaken by Roses finally, after Roses was trying to get past him on lap 1. So a bit of chaos there.
Yeah, and it looked like Phil had to take the escape road on that turn 1 chicane, and on re-entry he came obviously 4 wide of the people in front of him, but luckily didn't pick up any penalties, so he keeps in this fight with the cars in front of him. I was just having a look back at Midnight, obviously right at the back of the grid at the minute. I don't know if you agree, Mac, but an uncharacteristic mistake from Midnight there for Ascari. Normally he's quite solid around there, but maybe it's first race nervous maybe, and just made a little bit of a mistake there. But hopefully we'll see him climb through the grid again.
I mean, even like Midnight's a very good driver. He does not make mistakes very often, but that was a very uncharacteristic mistake, not just for Midnight, but also just the McLaren in general. McLaren doesn't seem to be a very trigger happy car, you know, like it doesn't spin around very often. It's rare you'd see it snap out like that. So interesting behavior, maybe due to these BOP changes. Obviously, there were a few BOP changes before the season, of course, when the 458 was introduced and the new Porsche, which we were seeing some drivers rock around here today, I believe. And there was a move there actually happening between Sophie and Fodda up the front, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like Fodda just about managed to get that move done before the chicane, but he kind of hung back a little bit, and he's lost a little bit of time to Sophie and Fodda. But yeah, it's good to see Fodda climbing up the grid. I believe he's climbed at least 7 positions in the first half of the race, and there's another Midnight mistake on that first chicane. Again, he's using the escape road and he rejoins the track. Something is not right with that McLaren today, Mac.
I mean, we've got other drivers in the field that are using McLaren that seem to be doing all right. Of course, we've got Sophie up there in 4th position and Bertie behind her. Bertie and Midnight are the ones I know that always run that McLaren. They love that car to bits, and they're doing probably fine. So yeah, interesting. Maybe there might be an in-car issue for Midnight or something up with his setup. We'll have to find out. Of course, we'll find out, I'm sure, at some point after the race. But we can see here now a move happening between Nigel and I believe Pedro, side by side going into Sky. They're still side by side. Pedro's going to get a bit of oversteer on that curb. Nigel's going to have to serve a penalty also for cutting the track. So unfortunately for Nigel, he just pulled off that move, but he's going to have to give it straight back to Pedro as he gets past now. And I don't think there'll be any threat from Mercedes behind. But up at the front here, Sophie is having a battle with Roses. You can see there was a bit of... Roses actually run off the track there. Be lucky to not get a penalty, kicking up a bit of dust. Nearly hitting that sausage curb. We've seen a few drivers launch over that sausage curb in the past. Of course, we had a very nasty Formula 3 accident there where one of the drivers hit that sausage curb and went flying into bars. Luckily, he was all right, but haven't seen that happen in the GT7 yet, but I'm sure drivers will be avoiding that. As we see Sophie trying to launch a route down the inside on Roses. Nothing comes of it. Roses manages to defend very well, but I'm sure Sophie will be wanting to get past the car. And Sophie actually gets a 0.5 second penalty as well for an earlier track excursion.
Yeah, it looked like she only cut it very, very minor, but the game obviously doesn't take good to that, so it gives her a half-second penalty. That might obviously play in Bertie's favour a little bit. He's kind of been hanging behind Sophie for a little bit, so he'll gain a position shortly. Although, currently, Pedro's trying to seek an opportunity going on the inside of Bertie around Lesmo 1, not being able to complete the move just yet, and Nigel's coming through as well. So he wants a 2-for-1 deal, although he goes a little bit wide onto the AstroTurf, losing a bit of momentum and lets Mercedes through and Dark Lord. So an opportunistic move from Nigel loses him 2 positions.
There's an ambitious move outside of Lesmo 2. Unless you're like at least half a car length ahead, it's very hard to hold that position, and Nigel was really just alongside Pedro. But yeah, Nigel was trying to use all the parts of the track there. Nigel was on the grass for a minute even, entering Lesmo 2. We see 2 drivers go off the track there. I think that might have been Roses and Sophie heading off in a Ascari. We'll see if they get an excursion penalty for that. I'm sure we'll find out. But Sophie has to serve that penalty there. Is going to lose many positions. I think 4 positions nearly, as she's going to drop behind Dark Lord here. As Dark Lord's going around the outside, a little bit of contact. Dark Lord's off the track, and now Nigel's going to bomb it up the inside and get past both of them. So a little bit of contact there between Sophie and Dark Lord, causing Nigel to get through, but Nigel doesn't have that straight line speed. He doesn't have the slipstream. Mercedes is giving Dark Lord a nice tow down the straight, which is going to keep him ahead, as there's another battle happening up front where Pedro is going to try to make a move on Roses, while Bernie manages to get the move done into the first chicane. Pedro too far back to get it done on Roses, but Bernie manages it.
Yeah, but it looked like it was a tough move there, because obviously Roses and Pedro were quite close to each other as well, but he was quite brave to just kind of stick it out. Oh, Pedro going on to the outside of the second chicane here, trying to force Roses into a bit more of a narrow line through that chicane, although it looks like Pedro was the one that got compromised coming out of the chicane, and that lets Mercedes potentially eye up opportunity, that was quite hard to say, for these 3 cars in front of him. Just having a little bit further back, Sophie lost out to Nigel through the first chicane, but that has brought Phil and Ziggy back into contention as well. Midnight's still circulating, but we haven't mentioned them. Oh, I will mention them in a minute because we still got that fight, but I was going to say about the 2 Lexuses at the front. Fodder is just about caught up Sicily, looking to make a position into to P2, but currently the Lexuses haven't been bothered much this race. As we see, Mercedes, he gets pushed out wide out of Ascari, and Nigel is in the barrier, Mac.
Yeah, Nigel having a few issues here now. He's after hitting that inside wall, I believe. That was an interesting place. Must have had a bit of help there. And obviously Mercedes going off the track. But I was going to say, Pedro got very loose into Ascari, which caused a bit of a stack up. And I believe that might have been why we had some cars going off there trying to either avoid Pedro or trying to just slow down. And, obviously you get that domino effect and people can't react in time, have to take some avoiding action. But looking to the front here now, Sidley has been overtaken by Fodder, and it's only Iceman that lies in the way of Fodder winning this race. Pedro's going to go straight off in the chicane. A little bit of a squeeze from Roses, and he touched the wheel off the grass, and it causes him to go straight on the chicane. He gets reset because he went through those very annoying barriers. He didn't cut the chicane or use the bollards like he was supposed to. So Fodder now is going to try to look down the inside on Iceman into the second variante, and he's going to get the move done. Is he not? No, he's not. Iceman's going to get the exit there. Great stuff from Iceman. And now Silly's going to look around the outside in the Lexus, but Fodder has that inside line, and he's going to keep that. Silly's going to go run a bit wide on the curb, but he still is alongside the Super, but surely around the outside here in Lesmo 2 will be finished, and it is Fodder keeping that second position. Very hard to overtake around that outside Lesmo 2, as we saw with Nigel before. As, yeah, towards the back, we've got a few position changes going on. Of course, Pedro is reset to about 10th position, I believe, because of that first corner cut.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a bit annoyed about that, especially obviously getting reset. But it looked like it was a bit of a late braking move by Roses that initiated that contact. But yeah, like you say, the annoying barriers sending him a little bit further back than what he wanted to, probably. Just spotted a move from Dark Lord. He managed to get the move done on Bertie and Roses in that previous lap. And just having a look at everybody else. Everyone else has quite a big gap between each other. So I think the fight to watch is definitely that battle for the lead.
Can Iceman hold off Fodder for this lap? It's the final lap of the race. Fodder is gaining. He's going to go to the inside, heading into the first corner. The Lex is going to be on his outside. They head into the first chicane now. Fodder is going to go down the inside. Iceman is going to stay alongside him as Fodder is going to hit the gravel and the grass and is going to head off. Very unfortunate for Fodder, but can he catch back up by the end of the lap? That's the question. That Super looks mighty fast. We'll have to see, can he make up that time, or will it be Iceman that takes home first position? But Sidley's going to be putting a bit of pressure on the Super now as they head into the second variante.
Yeah, it looks like Fodder on the defensive here, going in the middle of the track. He doesn't want to get overtaken by Sidley, and obviously he wants to try and catch Iceman before the end of the lap. And we've still got that little bit of a battle for P4, though Bertie, he hops over the curbs, and that lets Mercedes have a little bit of a opportunity to overtake at Lesmo 1. And it looks like Mercedes has just about got that move done, and Bertie unfortunately picks up a half-second penalty on the last lap.
Yeah, I think Pedro was trying to make a move there as well on Sophie and managed to get it done. A little bit of grass kicked up because of it. But look at this. Fodder, he's catching up to Iceman. Is this going to be a parabolic move? They head into a scary now. They clip the chicanes. They clip the apex. And it's on the exit. He has to give Iceman a bump as he got a bit squirmish in the scary. Will this cost Fodder the win? They're going to be running down this back straight now, heading into Parabolica. Fodder moves to the outside, around the outside of Parabolica. Can he get it done? He's going to have the higher exit speed on Iceman, but will Iceman give him the room? Fodder is going to run a slight bit wide. Is he? He's going to be fine. But who's going to win across the line? Iceman is ahead right now. Fodder has to push him over the line. It's going to be Iceman taking P1 and Fodder second. Sidley in third. Dark Lord fourth and Rose is fifth.
And then a little bit further back, we've got Mercedes in 6, Bertie P7, Pedro P8 after that disconnect. The reset. Phil in P9, Sophie P10. Ziggy was very close to nicking that P10. He finishes in P11. Then Nigel P12, Joe Nesbitt in P13. And just about crossing the line is Midnight in P14.
If that's anything to go by for the feature race, we're going to have a lot of fun on our hands. That was a great race, plenty of action throughout the field, and I mean Monza, it always seems to deliver.
Yeah, it was definitely chaotic. That was one way to describe it. Mostly behaved at turn 1, which is obviously a bit of a problem corner around here. But unfortunate for Pedro, obviously getting that reset. I think he'll try to his best to not get one in the feature. But I hope the Midnight has a little bit more of a better feature race. Maybe gets a little bit more into the rhythm for a longer race. I don't think that McLaren or him like this the sprint race much. It's very rare that we see Midnight finishing at the back of the grid. But there were some standout drives there, especially from the two Lexus drivers of Sicily and Iceman. Obviously, to Iceman to hold off Fodder, that was quite remarkable.
Yes, and I guess with that over now, we're going to jump straight into the feature race here and keep the action going. And as you mentioned, it's going to be a standing start. Is everybody going to behave into turn 1? I guess everybody's got their braking points sorted out, so we should be okay.
We hope so. Let's go and see.